Hey, Pretty Girl Club. Welcome back to the Inferiority Complex series. Yes, I'm going to make this into an entire series because I want to talk about how to spot an inferiority complex, how to tell if you have one, how to get over it, and also how to spot if someone else is using their inferiority complex against you. So that's what I want to talk about today. So first, I want to pull up a definition of inferiority complexes. So it says an inferiority complex is characterized by low self-esteem across all aspects of life and can cause people to feel insecure, incomplete, or unworthy. So I want to focus on the women who feel incomplete without a relationship and how they try to project that inferiority complex onto you. One of the main phrases that people will use against MLS women or ambiguous black women is you got the same black man. So they will usually say this when you have had a relationship with a black man and that relationship fails or you get abused. And the reason that they are saying that is because they are trying to insult you based on your relationship status with a man. So they are basically putting you down because deep down inside they feel incomplete without having a good man in their life. They feel like if you don't have a good, healthy relationship, that you are somehow inferior to the women who do. And so I've noticed that a lot of people, if they are jealous of your desirability and they're jealous of your dating options, if your relationship fails and you got abused, they don't care about you being abused. They have no empathy whatsoever. The point is to just make you feel bad because you didn't get a good man. You didn't get a good relationship. You didn't get the hypergamous sugar baby type of relationship. Or even if you did, Aoki Lee Simmons, they will still try to say something negative about that guy's looks. And the reason that women do that is because of projection. Those women pedestalize white men or they pedestalize rich, attractive men. And so they feel like you are incomplete unless you have one of those coveted men. So these are the types of women who have a scarcity mindset when it comes to men and relationships. They feel like a quote unquote good man or good black man or good white man or an attractive rich man. They feel like those men are so scarce and so rare to the point where they will constantly compare their dating lives to yours. And I'm talking about just any woman who's jealous of you. She may compare her dating life to yours, and then if she sees that you happen to get a coveted man, or let's say you get a guy who's rich or something, and then you end up getting abused and obviously you have to leave, instead of saying, hey, congratulations on getting out of a domestic violence situation, they would rather throw it in your face and say, well, you got the same black man, or your skin tone couldn't save you. And if you look on the screen, it says that one of the aspects of an inferiority complex is becoming excessively competitive. And so usually if a person has a competitive mindset, what they like to do is keep their friends close and their enemies closer. So oftentimes if someone is competing with you for like dates and stuff, you may not even realize that you're in a dating competition, but in their mind you are in a dating competition. So they are like watching what you do. They might be watching who you talk to. Sometimes women will even make fun of the looks of your boyfriend. Like I've seen a lot of jealous women use that tactic where they'll say things like, oh, but your boyfriend's ugly though. Oh, but he's short. One of the symptoms of an inferiority complex is being hypercritical. So not just hypercritical towards yourself, but hypercritical towards others. And so if you have a friend or family member with an inferiority complex, not only are they feeling hyper competitive with you, but they are also going to be hypercritical towards you. Why? Because they're hypercritical towards themselves. And so this is where you get the women who, they make fun of how your boyfriend looks or something because they are male centered. And so they're trying to really get you in a place where it hurts. They're trying to pierce you in your most sensitive place. So this is why women will make fun of you being abused, or they will make fun of you being cheated on, or they'll make fun of how your boyfriend looks or if he's short or something like that, or even your babies. Like I've seen some women who are jealous, they'll make fun of their friends' baby's appearance and things like that. And they're doing it because they are trying to pinpoint the area where you're the most sensitive. Usually women are the most vulnerable in relationships, and they are the most vulnerable when they are mothers. And so this is why a person with an inferiority complex who is hypercritical, she's going to specifically pinpoint the areas in your life where she knows that you are sensitive, and usually they'll be based off of her own sensitivities, and then she will try to point them out and say something that is hypercritical against you. That's actually a symptom of an inferiority complex, because a person who feels incomplete, they get mad when you check off a box in your life. So people who have this mindset of like, I won't be complete until I do XYZ, they have this mindset of, I have to check all these boxes. So I have to get the promotion, I have to get the rich boyfriend, I have to get XYZ. And so if they see you checking off boxes, even if you're not thinking of it that way, if they see you doing that, because they are excessively competitive, they're going to usually get mad and become hypercritical, because in reality, they're viewing life as a competition. They feel like you are their competitor when it comes to dating. You are their competitor when it comes to hypergamy or when it comes to social status. And so this is why these types of women, they will just sneak their way in and try to find an area of vulnerability and then put you down for it. You know how I say that when women are gaslighting, they like to consistently move the goalpost? And so let's say you have a friend and that friend wants to be hypergamous and she talks about getting a rich white guy or something. And then let's say you are like Aoki Lee Simmons and you're dating some rich white guy. Then suddenly the goalpost moves and it becomes, well, he's ugly, but he's short and he's fat. And so that's actually one of the ways that they will try to make you feel inadequate or incomplete. So it's actually a form of projection. Another symptom of inferiority complex is repetitively focusing on thoughts that are upsetting. So these are people who are constantly outraged. It's very easy to rage bait people who have an inferiority complex because they are naturally negative minded. These are people who see the world through a negative lens. And so they are constantly grumpy, they're constantly complaining. Have you ever been around someone that's always sick, they're always depressed, they always have beef with someone, there's always drama with someone? These are people who might even start a fight. Maybe they'll start fights in bars or something like that. Those are symptoms of an inferiority complex. Another symptom is anxiety. So anxiety is more than just feeling nervous. Anxiety could be your fight or flight has kicked in. So women who start fights in bars and stuff, or the type of woman who throws a drink on you even though she doesn't know you, or like you accidentally stepped on her toe and now she wants to fight you, those are actually symptoms of anxiety, like extreme anxiety, to the point where now she is ready to go into fight or flight mode and she chose fight mode. So one of the ways that you will know if someone has an inferiority complex is if they are in fight or flight mode around you. You rouse their anxiety so much to the point where they just want to fight you, even though you are not an actual threat. Well, it says right here on the screen that one of the symptoms of an inferiority complex is anxiety. Another aspect of an inferiority complex is when a person behaves aggressively. So, like I said, if you don't believe me, just look at the screen. It's right here. And by the way, all of these talking points are based on these 3 articles at the bottom: Everyday Health, Medical News Today, as well as WebMD. So aggressive behavior is actually a part of an inferiority complex. So like I said, these are the women who want to randomly fight you. These are women who come on your YouTube channels and they make threats against you, or, they go out of their way to try to humiliate you. Maybe you're in the workplace and this person just randomly starts yelling at you, or, they do something really extreme, like straight up making up lies about you. Well, that's a symptom of an inferiority complex, behaving aggressively. Another thing that causes other women to become hyper competitive with you is because they doubt themselves. So that's a symptom of an inferiority complex, self-doubt. So these are people who make talking points like, I have to work twice as hard to get half as much. I am underprivileged. My marketability is inferior because of my skin tone. I will never have as much as XYZ type of person. That is all self-doubt. That's basically a limiting belief. Some women have limiting beliefs tied to their phenotype or tied to their beauty. They don't believe they're pretty enough to attract a rich man. They don't believe they're good enough to get that promotion. They don't believe that they are attractive enough to be marketable on a wide scale. And so because they have a lot of self-doubt, this is why women will accuse you of being arrogant when you simply love yourself. Especially if you love yourself out loud, or if you're like, oh yeah, I like this pink shirt that I'm wearing, or you might say something casually, they're going to get offended because they are used to negative self-talk. Their mind is filled with thoughts of, I'm not good enough, I'm not pretty enough, I don't look good next to her, fuck that bitch, she thinks she's better than me. Assuming the worst. That's one of the symptoms of an inferiority complex. It's assuming the worst in yourself or in others or assuming the worst in a situation. So if a person has a mindset of assuming the worst, they are going to falsely accuse you. They're going to be more likely to falsely accuse you of gossiping about them, of looking at them crazy, of trying to steal their boyfriend. They may falsely accuse you of being racist, colorist, texturist, featurist, anti-black when you didn't actually do anything. These are all symptoms of an inferiority complex, assuming the worst in themselves, assuming the worst in you. And so this is why if you have confidence, you're more likely to be assumed to be like cocky or arrogant, or you think you're better, or you're conceited. Well, it's because the person saying that actually has an inferiority complex. They don't realize it, but they do. They have a set of beliefs that causes their brain to literally form neural pathways that make them into having an inferiority complex. Another symptom of an inferiority complex is having trouble reaching your own goals. So have you ever met a woman who is leveled down? Like she's having trouble and she's having a lot of frustration reaching her own beauty goals. She doesn't feel like she can reach her own internalized beauty goal. This is a sign that you most likely have an inferiority complex in terms of beauty. But no worries, because this channel is going to be talking all about the inferiority complex mindset. We're going to be doing a deep psychological dive into it. But that's actually a symptom of an inferiority complex, though, having trouble reaching your goals. So if you are trying to reach a certain beauty goal and you're experiencing a lot of frustration, like maybe you're mad at how your hair looks, how your makeup looks, how your weight looks, how your wrinkles look, or you have gray hair, it could be anything. That's actually a sign that you have an inferiority complex in terms of your beauty. And so one thing that happens is if a woman has an inferiority complex about her beauty, she's going to project that onto you. She's going to be hypercritical about your beauty. So for example, let's say you are working out a lot and you want to like lose 10 pounds. The person who has an inferiority complex about her own weight, she's going to start talking shit about your weight. And she's going to be like, oh, well, you didn't really get that. You didn't lose that much weight. You only lost 5 pounds. I don't see a difference. Like they might say little backhanded comments, or they may say like, oh, you said you were going to grow your hair out. Your hair doesn't even look longer. Your hair is not that long. They will try to neg you because they want you to feel down about yourself. And it's because you are triggering their anxiety. You're triggering their anxiety by simply being beautiful. You are triggering their anxiety by going to the club and looking better than them. In their mind, they feel like you look better than them. And if they have an inferiority complex, yes, that is going to cause excessive competition. It's right here on the screen. Excessive competition, behaving aggressively, but definitely watch out for the girls around you who seem to have trouble reaching all of their goals, because reaching goals, it actually shouldn't really be that hard. It should be something to where you're just kind of taking baby steps going towards your goals. It should be something that's a little bit more fun, or like something that you don't get easily burnt out by. Trying to achieve your goals should not be causing you depression. You should not be mentally ill trying to achieve your goals. That means that you probably have some sort of inferiority complex or limiting beliefs. By the way, inferiority complex really just means limiting beliefs. For those who are spiritual, if you believe in the concept of limiting beliefs, that's really what an inferiority complex is. It means that you have limiting beliefs regarding your beauty, or regarding your race, or your ethnicity, or your socioeconomic status. If a person is having trouble reaching their own goals in terms of beauty, and then maybe you have reached your beauty goals, maybe you are well on your way to being as fully leveled up as possible, or maybe you're like me where you kind of feel like goals are more of a lifestyle, like you always have new goals and like new things that you're trying to achieve. Maybe you have daily goals and stuff, and so your goals are actually visible. Like you are their goals, you are their body goals, you are their hair goals, you are their beauty goals. And so if a person has an inferiority complex and they're having trouble reaching their own internalized goals for their own beauty, then yes, they're going to be very likely to become hypercritical against you. And so this is why oftentimes when you're in the office, people attack you, because it's easy to attack the pretty girl because you are their beauty goals. If that person has an inferiority complex about their beauty, they don't have a problem critiquing you, because in their mind, they are subconsciously viewing you as higher up on a beauty hierarchy. Because remember, one of the symptoms of an inferiority complex is they become excessively competitive. So they feel like beauty is a competition and that you have beat them so high, like you have just blown them out of the water, so much so to the point where they feel like it's okay to point out that you've got a pimple on your face. They feel like it's okay to point out that your hair is a little bit frizzy or that you've gained 5 pounds. And all of these things can be linked back to an inferiority complex. Another symptom of an inferiority complex is maybe that person wants to conceal themselves or they want to avoid social gatherings. So these are the women who don't want to go out with you because they feel like you look better than them, you're going to draw more attention. It's right here on the screen as a part of the inferiority complex, having a tendency towards self-concealment and avoiding social gatherings. So for a person who feels inferior, getting in front of a bunch of people, that ignites too many insecurities. Being seen in a bar and stuff like that, it ignites too many insecurities because they feel like they're having trouble reaching their beauty goals, or they're having trouble reaching their social goals. They're having trouble reaching their goals in terms of status. And so they don't want to go to a social gathering because it's just going to remind them of how much they don't measure up. And by the way, this is all coming from within themselves. There's nothing that you can do to like cure this. This is something that that person has to work on within themselves because it's basically just a form of low self-esteem. And so have you ever had a friend where maybe you wanted to go out, maybe you wanted to go on vacation, maybe you wanted to go to the pool because, you know, you've been working out, your body looks good, you've got your little bikini on, you want to go to the pool with your friends, and then you have that one friend who's very self-conscious, and so she's just like, no, fuck going to the pool, I don't want to go anywhere. Or, you know, this is the person that just doesn't want to go out. Or sometimes your friends may even complain and say, every time we go out, the guys only talk to you. I don't want to go out anymore. This is not fun for me. And that is actually a part of an inferiority complex. Another symptom that can happen with some of your friends or with jealous people is wanting to give up quickly. So I know this has happened to me before where I've tried to help a friend. Like, let's say my friend is overweight or something, and then I just lost weight. I will be like, hey, you want to go on a walk together? Hey, do you want to do this together? And maybe they show up one time and then they never come again. Or, you know, maybe you're trying to help them with their business one time and then they never do it again. So they have a problem with showing up. They have abandoned themselves. They don't show up for themselves. And so if you try to help them, they're not going to show up for you. They're going to want to give up quickly. And these are also the types of women who will give up quickly on their friendship with you, because you were already on the verge of not being their friend anyway because you triggered them by meeting your goals easily. Or the thing is about goals, by the way, oftentimes like meeting a goal, it still requires discipline, but I've noticed that if you are good at meeting goals because you set realistic goals, you set realistic beauty goals, you set realistic goals for yourself, as opposed to, oh, I want to look like a totally different person overnight. A part of what makes a person good at achieving goals is they set goals that are actually applicable to themselves. They set goals that are like achievable and attainable for them. So yes, it may be a stretch. You might have to get out of your comfort zone, but it's not something that's so extreme to where you know that you're not going to meet it. So for example, I wouldn't say, hey, my goal is to become a millionaire within the next 24 hours. Well, of course I'm going to be disappointed because I'm setting goals that are like too lofty, or I'm setting goals that are too far off from where I'm at today and from where I'm at right now. But I've noticed that if you're a confident woman and you know how to kind of assess yourself, you know how to admit to yourself whatever your flaws are and what you want to work on, it's actually quite easy to set goals and kind of like work on them and reach them because your goals are realistic and you have tailored your goals to yourself, as opposed to, hey, my goal is to outshine Sarah. My goal is to look like a better version of Sarah. And it's like, well, no, because you're not Sarah, so you're never going to look like her. You're never going to be able to, quote unquote, outshine her, because first of all, that's the wrong mindset. That's a part of that hyper competitive mindset. And then number two, Sarah's unique goals are going to be so different from yours. But I've noticed that when it comes to pretty girl friendship dynamics, sometimes if you are that person's goals, you're going to trigger them and they're going to want to give up on your friendship because they view you as like some sort of secret competitor, even if you're not viewing it that way. Because every confident woman that I've ever met, she doesn't view other women as like, oh my God, I'm competing. I need to outshine Sarah. I need to outshine Susie. I need to do this. And it's like, no, if you're confident, you're literally so focused on yourself and you're so focused on working on yourself and kind of like losing weight or, I don't know, straightening your teeth, wearing your retainers, doing your face mask, doing your hair mask. You're so focused thinking about what you're doing to the point where you don't even notice what somebody else is doing. You don't even notice that that other girl lost 15 pounds and you only lost 5 pounds because you're focused on your diet. You're not focused on her diet. But a person that has an inferiority complex, they are excessively competitive. And so one of the symptoms of being competitive is actually when you're constantly looking at someone else's plate. You're constantly looking at what they have and you're comparing it to yourself. You're saying, oh, hey, she's a size 6, I'm a size 12. Oh, she got 5 likes on Instagram, I only got 2 likes. All of those things are a part of the inferiority complex because that's being excessively competitive. And of course, it's going to make it hard to reach your goals. It's not even going to be fun to reach your goals because then you're kind of basing your self-esteem off of, oh, how can I kind of down someone else? How can I down someone else? How can I be better than somebody else and make them feel bad about themselves? That's not actually fulfilling. Anybody who is a good person, who is not a narcissist, would not feel fulfilled by making fun of someone's abuse or making fun of someone's physical appearance. Anyone who actually loves themselves and who actually has a sense of empathy or a sense of like camaraderie with other human beings, they would not get pleasure from putting down how somebody looks or like putting down their socioeconomic status, putting down who they're dating, making fun of somebody's love life, making fun of someone for getting put out at 2 a.m. with a newborn baby. Anybody who's a normal, mentally healthy person doesn't find pleasure in that sort of thing. But if you are hyper competitive and if you have like some sort of inferiority complex going on and you're having trouble reaching your own goals, then yes, it is going to bring pleasure for you to put someone else down. And so I'm talking about this because a lot of women on this channel have experienced it. Maybe your family members had an inferiority complex and they tried to project it onto you. Maybe you had friends that would project their inferiority complexes onto you. Maybe your mom was competing with you. Maybe your cousins were competing with you. Another symptom of an inferiority complex is abusing drugs and alcohol. So if you are around a friend, or maybe you have a boyfriend who he drinks too much, or like suddenly, you get a promotion at work and suddenly he's drinking more than normal. Suddenly he is smoking more cigarettes than normal. Suddenly he is, taking on all of these bad habits. Well, it could be possible that you have triggered his inferiority complex by leveling up in your career or leveling up in your desirability, or at least in his eyes, that's how he feels. He feels like, oh shit, she's more desirable now. She might leave me. That is something that happens to people who have that inferiority complex. And another thing about the whole aggression, that can happen in a relationship as well. So for example, I've talked about this on the Decentering Men series. Maybe you are very business minded, you've got business goals, you want to open a business bank account, you want to get the paperwork together. Then suddenly he starts abusing you. He starts ripping up your stuff. He wants to slam your laptop. He starts throwing things and breaking things. Maybe he's destroying the things that you love. That's because you have triggered his inferiority complex. He doesn't have anything in his life that he really loves. He doesn't have a business idea or like any goals that he's working on. He has an inferiority complex. He's having trouble reaching his goals, and so he gets mad when you reach yours. These are all signs of inferiority complexes. But what do you ladies think? Have you ever had someone project their complexes onto you? Have you ever had someone randomly accuse you of being arrogant or conceited, even though you didn't do anything to show you were conceited? They probably had an inferiority complex. What do you ladies think? Let me know in the comment section and I'll talk to you next time. Stay pretty, ladies.